Welcome to the session entitled Head Start Basis, starting with the family first. Our presenters are Mary-Lynne Diggs and Dr. Arthur Bruton of Head Start. Mary-Lynne Diggs serves as coordinator of the South Carolina Head Start Collaboration Office from 1994 to 1996. She was named director in 1996 and retired in December of 2017. Mary-Lynne returned to the position in June of 2018, housed at the South Carolina Department of Health and Human Services for 15 years. The program has been housed at the South Carolina Department of Social Services since October of 2005. Ms. Diggs' role is to help the administration and governor make progress toward goals that improve the lives of young children through partnerships. Dr. Bruton, EDD, is president of the South Carolina State Head Start Association, a statewide nonprofit organization whose mission is dedicated exclusively to meeting the needs of Head Start children and families in South Carolina. He also serves as executive pastor of Universal Body of Christ Church of the Redeemed and is director of Dr. J.C. Bull Project Right Start Mentoring Program and creator of Daddy Reed's Male Involvement Program. Serving in Spartanburg 7 School District, he has teaching and administrative experience from the elementary to high school levels. At this time, I present to you Ms. Mary-Lynne Diggs and Dr. Arthur L. Bruton.
We thank you for that presentation. And we're going to get started with a history of Head Start. But before Mary-Lynne begins, I want to give a shout out to my friends and colleagues at the Head Start programs across the state and at my program, Piedmont Community Action, Head Start and Early Head Start in Spartanburg and Cherokee counties. And now for the historian of Head Start, South Carolina Head Start, who's going to give you more information than you probably would want to hear or probably information you need to hear, the history of Head Start, Ms. Mary-Lynne Diggs.
Thank you, Dr. Bruton, and thank all of you who have joined us. So you see on the screen the history of Head Start. It talks about the war on poverty, and you've probably read a whole lot about the war on poverty and what it includes. Interestingly enough, in the war on poverty, there were 10 states that were identified as having the highest poverty rate, and South Carolina was one. And the one county that was highlighted in the 1964 study of the war on poverty was Jasper County, South Carolina. So at that time, the junior senator pushed for Head Start to be everywhere. So you see the map here in South Carolina. So we talked about the war on poverty, and so Head Start was launched in 1965. It was a summer program in school districts. It was really what you know as a summer feeding program with the education element included to help children to move into the early care setting in public schools. In 65, you see where the American Indian and Alaska Native Indian program started, and then the Economic Opportunity Act. That's where in 1966, Head Start was moved, it was tied to the Economic Opportunity Act. The Economic Opportunity Act started community action agencies. And just so happens in South Carolina, 85% of all Head Start grantees are community action agencies. At one time, that was the actual home for all Head Starts in this country, after having been a summer program in school districts. But we are mentioning these items because these are items that are a part of your everyday work, and you may or may not be aware that Head Start is designed to be a test pool. And if it works, then it will happen in other places. So you see parent-child centers, and parent-child centers were part of the 1967 activity of Head Start. And then Head Start was moved from the Office of Economic Opportunity to the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. And then the OEO Act was amended, so they would still be able to house Head Start. And then Head Start programs started with, you see Head Start begins as CDA. Many of you know about the Child Development Associate credential, but the CDA was launched out of Head Start as a way of training early caregivers. Then Home Start was initiated to provide services at home. So you know that now as home visiting activities. And then Child and Family Resource Centers were started by way of Head Start in 1973. And then the Head Start performance standards were issued, which meant the law of how a Head Start program must run and all of the standards that must be followed. Then the establishment of bilingual and bicultural migrant Head Start. And that was an initiative of the Carter administration to ensure that children who were had a different language, particularly children of the Hispanic nature, were included in Head Start. And then the first early Head Start grants were awarded in 1995. And those programs serve children pregnant women and children 0 to 3. Then in 1996, the first major revision of the Head Start performance standards. And in those standards, it was very specific, more specific about the training for Head Start, meaning that a Head Start teacher would have to have a baccalaureate degree or working toward a baccalaureate degree. Then you see the Head Start reauthorization, where we moved to full day and full year. Interestingly enough, all Head Start programs in South Carolina have been full day, full year since 1965. And you see Good Start Grow Smart. So you probably know about Good Start Grow Smart, but it had its beginning in Head Start. And then you see the State Early Childhood Advisory Council was established in 2007. You know it as the ECAC. The ECAC in South Carolina is a federal mandate, and it is housed in South Carolina at the state First Steps office. So there's an ECAC council that is also the same as the state First Steps board. But the ECAC is a part of the Head Start Act. In fact, it's on page 69 of the Head Start Act. Two other things that you might be interested in knowing is that in 1968, a special project was launched, and many may or may not embrace, depends upon how old you are, that Head Start is the program that you know as Sesame Street. So Sesame Street is Head Start on film. It is focused for all children, but it is based on the Head Start performance standards, and it was paid for by Kellogg Foundation and the federal government by way of Head Start. And keep in mind that we already noted about the CDA program, because we know a lot of work is being done to strengthen the CDA initiative. And you see our map here. So you see, and Dr. Bruton will move it to the next slide, but you see on this map where Head Start programs are. So there's a Head Start presence in 45 of the 46 counties in South Carolina. And Head Start is federal to local, it's comprehensive, it's income eligible. When we say income eligible, that means that the families are 100% of poverty or less. So that's a family of 4 at about $25,700 a year, $25,700 a year for a family of 4. And you see where local, public, and nonprofits and for-profits are eligible with parent involvement is a hallmark. And then 16 Head Start programs in South Carolina provide the services to children ages 3 to 5. 12 of those are community action agencies for school districts, and the funding comes from the Region 4 Office of Head Start. And there are 4 South Carolina migrant Head Start sites. The newest one is in Saluda County. It opened last month. And you see that Head Start, early Head Start programs serve children 0 to 3 from the Regional Office of Head Start. So Dr. Bruton, if you move us to the next part of that slide. And then there's one American Indian Head Start program. Now, by the way, there is one federally recognized tribe, it's the Catawba Indian Nation, and they are a Head Start grantee. There are 8 state recognized tribes in South Carolina. So we do work with them, but they're included in the general population of Head Start. And then we have early Head Start child care partnerships. And that's a new initiative, and it's awarded to 3 local First Steps partnerships, a community action agency, Early Head Start, and the South Carolina Association of Community Action Partnerships. That initiative is one where private child cares include the Head Start performance standards. So they do, it's not blended, but it's called a layered service. So you see as of December of 2019, and we listed the 2019, 2020, so you'll see the change in the attendance, and because COVID affected us, that in December of 2019, there were 12,153 children being served in Head Start, and in 225 centers, and you see 80 of them were American Indian children, 385 were served in home-based, activities are very strong in Head Start. We have parent visitors, home visitors more about that. And of the total served, 4,228 were age 4. And in addition to that, we have 4K providers, meaning that Head Start is included in the South Carolina 4K legislation, but the service is not as expansive in as much as Head Start is a comprehensive service. And we moved down to see that in 2020, we had approximately 7,157 children. It's about at that same right now in 2021. So we won't go any further with that. And Dr. Bruton, is there another slide you need me to? Okay. And so it says federal operations award to South Carolina, and we say approximately $150 million. As it relates to the grantees, it's really $130 million, but there are other services that the feds pay for. They have technical assistance and training that it's involved, and then the Head Start Collaboration Office located at the Department of Social Services. But all Head Start money is federal to local money. Head Start is discretionary money. It is not in a block grant. So you see where NAEYC is a highlight in South Carolina. And in fact, for years, South Carolina Head Start programs had the largest number of NAEYC accredited centers. And the QRS, the Quality Rating Improvement System, which many early care entities are now embracing, as a part of the work between Head Start and the federal child care. So by the end of September, all Head Start programs in South Carolina and any state must be a part of the Quality Rating Improvement System. A Head Start Collaboration Office grant is awarded to a governor, and then the governor assigns it to an appropriate entity. So you've already heard that at one time we were at the Department of Health and Human Services, and then we were moved to the Department of Social Services. We emphasize that because if you meet a collaboration director in another state, you'll be wondering, why are they here? Why are they? In some states, they are at the State Department of Education. And there are a couple of states where the Head Start Collaboration Office is in higher ed. It must be in an entity where the governor has responsibility. So we will stop right there. Thank you so much.
All right, Mary-Lynne, we thank you for that, but can you briefly tell us what is the mission of Head Start? What is Head Start seeking to do in our state?
Head Start in our state and everywhere seeks to lift children and their families up and out of poverty. So it is comprehensive. It is when we talk about a comprehensive program, we are talking about special needs services. We're talking about health. We're talking about education. We're talking about parental involvement. So
to use, of course, for the
comprehensive. It is a comprehensive service, and the in-classroom experience is one element of the comprehensive service.
All right, we thank you for that.
Thank you.
We always say that these various systems that we use in Head Start to help our programs be the best that they can be. And we're going to talk about it very briefly, and then we'll go back to Mary-Lynne for some of her experiences as well. But one of these systems in particular, all of them relate to family partnerships and community engagement. But the one in particular that does is the URSIA piece that deals with determining eligibility, recruiting kids, selecting them, enrolling them, and then tracking their attendance. And under that particular system, there is areas that focus on providing parental support and different strategies for parental engagement for all parents who are enrolled in the program, have children enrolled in the program. And that includes the whole family, the mother, the father. Sometimes when we have programs, we see the whole family will come out. And we welcome that because we want to work with the whole family. So family and community services are a focal point for and about Head Start. And it all begins with building relationships with families that support family well-being, help them to establish strong relationships among themselves, with us, with the teachers in the classroom, with those who are providing services, with partners in the community. We're trying to pull this all together for the betterment of children and families, but most important is building those relationships and helping our parents realize that their goal is being there children's first teacher. In this particular picture that you're seeing on the screen, on this particular night, and it's from my program, so I can talk about it just a little bit. We had the parents had decided that they wanted to put together a science fair, but they wanted to be the ones who created the displays for the science fair. And we saw that sounds like a great idea. And we partnered them with their classroom teacher. And so it took them a few weeks to put their projects together. And then on this particular,
Okay, so when?
They were displayed around the room, and we invited the parents out, and a huge turnout. And each station were the parents, the parent who created the project and the classroom teacher were there to explain with different activities that the children could engage in as well. It's one of our more successful efforts to get parents out. So this parent, family, and community engagement framework, we describe it as a framework, a roadmap, progress for achieving outcomes that's going to help families make positive and enduring change. And the framework was developed in partnership with programs, experts, and the National Center on Family and Community Engagement. I heard this morning in one of the trainings that there's a South Carolina family engagement framework, and I did notate that so I could research that and look into that also. But our approach is research-based, and it shows how an agency, how a program can work together with families across systems and service areas, because we're not just a babysitting service. And some people see Head Start as a babysitting service, but we're here to promote the brain development of children. And we're here to promote the overall development of parents, because they select goals that they want to work on when they enroll in our programs. And our goal is to help the parents realize those goals, whatever they are. And we try to encourage them to select positive goals, and we will work with them and help them chart their progress throughout their time with us. And then we provide different kinds of strategies and activities for them to engage in their children's learning and development. Any comments on that, Mary-Lynne?
No, but we want to emphasize, and I'm sure Dr. Bruton will discuss it later. Head Start has what's known as shared governance, and families are involved in it. It's a shared governance. So we have a Head Start Policy Council, and then you have the governing board of the sponsoring entity.
All right, thank you for that. So this is our Head Start Parent, Family, and Community Engagement framework. And you see here the program foundations, the program impact area, the family outcomes, and the child outcomes. And part of that policy council that Mary-Lynne spoke of helps parents develop leadership. We also have parent committees at the center level for parents to gain leadership experience and to help us develop the concept of how each program will be at each center, because programs have a foundational element in what is to be taught, but how they go about teaching those and helping children and families realize the goals is different. And so there's a lot of professional development also that's involved in helping parents and families achieve their goals. And we look at it as a continual need to grow and to develop. And then the impact areas, the program environment. We want our environments to be welcoming to parents. Develop those family partnerships early on as part of the intake process. We want them to be involved in the teaching and the learning. We invite them to visit the classrooms, make suggestions for topics they'd like to see taught. We do work with quite a few community partners, because part of our goal is helping to assess the health needs of children. So we do partner with a lot of health providers, a lot of social service providers to assist parents in realizing whatever goals and needs that have to be taken care of. And then we want there to be access and continuity. We don't go in for a lot of one-shot programs. We want programs continue as long with the parents, as long as they're with us. And then the family outcomes, of course, in this time of COVID-19, family well-being, want to build positive, help them build positive child-parent relationships. And we stress that they are their children's first teachers, but that families are also lifelong learners. So we're trying to provide on a regular basis activities to help them. For example, if they hadn't got their high school diploma, to help them attain their high school diploma. We've set up GED classes at some of our centers to assist those who wanted a GED. We've partnered with some of the community college folk to help them enter into community college and start taking classes toward a career that would be productive for them and their families. So families as learners is important to us in this family engagement framework. And then we engage them in transitioning because we realize that the children are not going to be with us forever. We're birth to 5. Usually at the end of that 4-year period, the 4-year-old program, kids began a transition. So we like to partner with the public schools and make that transition as effective as possible by involving the parents in that as well. And then family connections to peers and the community. We want to make that happen. Many of our programs are in community action agencies, so we do have lots of additional resources to assist our parents with job training, with career readiness, and we take advantage of those services. Perhaps they may need assistance with lights, heating, and air. Perhaps they may need assistance with weatherization. A lot of our community action grantees will provide those services for them. And then we want them to develop in their roles as advocates for their children, advocates for their families, and leaders in the community. And so this community engagement, parent-family community engagement framework also focuses on child outcomes. And the number one child outcome in our programs is health and safety. We want our children to be healthy and we want them to be safe in our learning environment. We want them to be healthy and safe at home as well. And we want them to learn and to develop. And so each of our programs is using a research-based curriculum with our children. The Policy Council does work with programs to help them select the curriculum. And then we try to train parents as much as we can on how that curriculum is being implemented. And the positive relationships that are established from the beginning, right at enrollment, is crucial to the success of this parent-family community engagement framework, because we want kids when they leave our programs, when they transition to kindergarten, to be ready for school and to be ready to do well in school and in life. And so Head Start programs offer an ideal laboratory for the study of effective child development and learning. And Health and Human Services, Department of Health and Human Services has done quite a bit of research. And if you go to our website, ECLKC, you'll find a lot of that research that deals with not only parent-family community engagement, but also curriculum, instruction, lots of different things, health and safety. So we do encourage you to visit that website. So each program has to implement a family partnership process. And that process includes a partnership agreement and activities that support family well-being and includes family health, safety, economic stability. We work with families who, for example, something simple, preparing their taxes. Many programs will work with them to prepare their taxes. These recent stimulus monies, we provide information to families on how to access that money and to how they can support child learning and development. And then we do work with children who might have disabilities. And Mary-Lynne, I know this is a strong point for you. You want to speak on how Head Start programs seek to service children and families with disabilities.
Thank you, Dr. Bruton. The Head Start performance standards require that 10% of children in a Head Start program must be children with an identified special need. So Head Start does the initial screening, and then we refer them to our school district partners. Now, interestingly enough, at one time, a Head Start program could complete the IEP process, but the federal law changed about 10 years ago. So now school districts are the entities for IEPs. We emphasize that because in South Carolina, for the last 7 years, we have not been able to meet that 10% in all of our programs. So we encourage our school district partners to follow through with us on that. And the State Department of Education has worked very, very hard in that process, but it is a local one. So there is to be an agreement between a Head Start grantee and a local school district as it relates to special services. The Head Start performance standards require that 10% of our children must be those with an identified special need. If for some reason the IEP process is not completed, Head Start still is mandated to have those services provided by other means, but that does not count toward the 10%. So if a hospital provides those services for a child, a hospital setting provides those services, or a private provider, a physician, Head Start has not met its 10%. But again, 10% of our children must be children with an identified special need, and we are required to ensure that we have the IEP process. And of course, it's the IFSP if we're in the Part C piece. And along with that, with the family partnership and the disabilities, and it says to foster parental confidence. With that confidence, we recognize that sometimes we have children who are homeless and sometimes children who are foster children. The Head Start Act and the performance standards both note that a homeless child and a foster child is automatically admitted to a Head Start program. I will stop there, Dr. Bruton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary-Lynne. And we do seek out foster parents and homeless parents to enroll them into our programs because we know that they will greatly benefit from our services. And our staff is working diligently across the state in this family partnership process to move children forward and to prepare them for quite a glorious future. There was a study that was done, impact study, in 2012. And listen to some of the findings as it relates to Head Start. Head Start children with low baseline scores make greater gains and progress in cognitive skills. Head Start children in foster care and non-parental care are more ready for school after participating in a Head Start program. Head Start children in programs with full-day services receive a bigger boost in cognitive skills. Head Start parents provide more positive learning experience to their children. That's because of our parent engagement, family engagement process, continually working with the parents, finding out what their needs are and helping them to address those needs. Head Start children with limited English experience have cognitive gains that persist through grade 1. Head Start children who would otherwise have been home make progress in receptive vocabulary because of the curriculum and the positive interactions that we use in the classroom. Head Start children whose mothers did not finish high school have greater cognitive gains, and many of them are encouraged to go on and complete their high school diploma, and many do, or get the GED. And parents of 3-year-old Head Start children advance their own education more by the time the child is 6. And those are some of the gains from the impact study of Head Start and our parent engagement process. Part of our process includes identifying family strengths and needs. We all have needs. we all would like to get help with our needs, but we do work very closely with the parents upon enrollment and throughout the year to help them identify their needs and find strategies that help them address whatever needs they have so that they can become eradicated or at least help them to build strengths. And in our framework included family well-being, parent-child relationships, lifelong educators, families as learners, engagement and transitions, as we mentioned before, and connections to peers in the local community. And these partnership services, these are the things that involve. We collaborate with the families to identify their strengths, interests, needs, and aspirations. We just don't assume that they want to do this or want to do that. We sit down with them, have a conversation with them, and find out what it is they would like to do in 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 1 year from now. And we help them achieve their individualized family engagement outcomes. We don't tell them, they tell us, and we help them develop a plan to achieve their goal. And this family partnership agreement is developed by the parents with our assistance, and then we meet on a regular basis to review their goals. The Head Start Policy Council. Each program must have a Head Start Policy Council or policy committee. And the purpose of this is not just to empower parents, but so they can be active members in deciding what directions a program will take. They help parents develop leadership skills. And so this is a leadership and policymaking role for parents and community members in these policy councils or policy committees. And the ones who serve on the policy councils are elected by parents at each center or according to whatever's in their bylaws. And these are some of the activities that are involved with decisions of the policy council. Activities that support the active involvement of parents in supporting program operations, including policies to ensure that Head Start is responsible to the community and parent needs. Program recruitment, selection, and enrollment. In this day of COVID, when enrollment is less than what it should be, we've had to solicit the help of policy council members to help to get out and be door to door, see where the kids are, encourage the parents to bring the kids and enroll them in our centers. They approve applications for funding and amendments to applications for funding for programs. So each year when we submit our application for refunding, we sit down with our policy council and we review it with them. If they have suggestions for changes in programs, we incorporate those. If they want budget alterations, we'll discuss and include those as well. And then they're responsible for reviewing and updating the policy council bylaws that will operate their program. And the personnel policies and decisions regarding the employment of program staff, policy council is involved there as well. Our councils like to sit on interview committees and they look through the information that applicants are presenting to us to help us decide who might be the best fit for a particular position. They help us develop procedures as how members of the policy council will be elected, because policy council members are elected yearly, and they recommend selection of delegate agencies and the service area for such agencies if that is part of their program. All Head Start programs don't have delegate agencies. In our fatherhood programs, we did see a session this morning in this training about fatherhood programs, but we try to promote positive outcomes by engaging fathers, positive outcomes for children, families, and the fathers themselves. And we work directly with fathers from day one to encourage them to be a part of the program, whether they're living with the mother or not. We encourage the families to get together, bring the fathers so that they can be supportive and advocates for their children. And we encourage our staff to be engaging and welcoming to fathers. And they can do this in several ways, by changing their attitudes and being welcoming in everyday routines, father events, program enrollment, and classroom spaces. We tell our teachers, our classroom personnel, to recognize and understand the influence of culture on manhood and fatherhood. And we provide training for staff on a regular basis so that they can better understand what the needs and what the challenges are for fathers who have kids enrolled in our program. And we encourage fathers to connect and enjoy their child at each and every developmental age. I have a picture here of a program that we call Daddy Reads. Daddy Reads may be called something different in other programs, but it's a major benefit to Piedmont because we invite, after working with the parents and getting them charged up and telling them the benefits of doing it, once they come and they're welcome, then it seems like they can't get enough of it. See this photo on the left. We've had as many as 7, 8, 10 dads show up to read to one classroom. They just love the program so much. So the key to that is building a trusting relationship with the fathers and supporting them when they're in the classroom. And when they come, they may have other needs other than reading that we can sit down and have one-on-one or small group conversations about that. And that's been really successful in increasing fatherhood engagement in our programs. And here is simple things that we've done. For example, a kite day, and have the parents come out to work with their children on, or other people's kids if one father couldn't show up, on putting kites together. And that's been a big draw for fathers as well. And we have a celebration, a Head Start, and this is an annual thing, a Head Start Awareness Month in October. And this picture here is from a few years back. We met in Columbia, and we invite all the fathers to come because we need the fathers to help us monitor, to help us set up, to help us tear down. And we've had huge turnouts of not only fathers, but mothers, and children, and other staff around the state for that as well. So we encourage everyone to do all they can to observe and stay curious, to find out how fathers and their children like to spend their time, to acknowledge responsive interactions, to explore with fathers which programs, activities allow them to contribute most to their children's learning. And friends, messages matter. When mothers, teachers, and others in a child's life show confidence in a father's parenting, a father will feel more motivated, more confident, more involved, and more satisfied in the parenting role. So we encourage our folk to greet fathers by name upon arrival and departure, and ask about the child and the Father's Day, and invite fathers to share about their children and parenting, and recognize a father's role as a primary caregiver and lifelong educator of their child. And when two parents come together, we talk to them as equals, and we treat them as equals because that is important. And we address fathers in all types of family structures. And what's been interesting to me in this whole process of parent-family community engagement and in this fatherhood involvement piece is that even though the parents may not have a good relationship sometimes with the child, they'll find that child's father and say, there's going to be a fatherhood activity at the center, and you need to go. And I've just been amazed at how many of those dads have come up and they said, so-and-so's mother asked me to come, and I came. But we also provide them with opportunities to volunteer and give back to the community as well. So one of the strategies is to invite fathers and male volunteers to take on the roles they enjoy. They have a lot of talents. Use those talents for the benefit of the children and your program. And support active play. I'll never forget, a few years ago, I was visiting a center, and it was around Christmas time, and the fathers had come to help the children put together these little gingerbread houses. And there was one child whose father couldn't make it. So the center manager drafted me to be his father. I was happy to be his father on that particular day and help him engage. And then in our centers, we encourage everyone to show men in a variety of roles, including caring and nurturing ones throughout your program. I like to take lots of pictures, and we put those pictures all around our centers of fathers engaged with their kids, and not just a little snapshot. We blow it up so that everybody can see it. And then we have the mothers sometimes asking, where are our pictures? And we tell them they're important, and we're going to get their pictures up as well. And then we say, look at the books in your classroom if you're a teacher. In what ways do those books represent men, and how do they represent fathers? Those are questions that you should ask yourselves. And if you have an opportunity to do a big event like the one you're looking at, please do. And you know, we get a lot of help from this lady who's been around a while, and she gives us lots of encouragement. She helps us with our Head Start Awareness Day and many other things across the state. She's real big on fatherhood involvement. She's a real advocate for Head Start programs. And we're going to give her the last word as we near the close of our presentation. Mary-Lynne Diggs.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bruton. And Dr. Bruton won't be able to pack his bags to do this, but I want you to know for the last 7 years, he and other fathers have gone to the beach for a weekend with fathers. It is a big deal. If you don't know about the annual Head Start Fatherhood Network Conference, keep in touch with us. We've had persons to come from 7 states. It is a phenomenal initiative, and we appreciate it. But we also want you to know that in Head Start, as it relates to family engagement, they are home visitors in Head Start. So every child's family is visited at some point during the year in Head Start, at least twice a year. And as it relates to a preparation standpoint, because many of you are in early care and education, Head Start in South Carolina was involved in the launching of what you know as the Associate Degree in Early Childhood. And she said, I have 2 minutes, but keep in mind that we mentioned the CDA, the Child Development Associate. It is a work entity, but we were able to work to ensure that the CDA is embedded in 27 academic hours, so persons can transfer those hours to a 4-year institution. So again, know that Head Start is comprehensive. Know that we are in 45 of the 46 counties. Know that it is federal to local. Know that states do not necessarily put money in Head Start, but there are some states that are expanding their early care initiatives by way of Head Start and putting state dollars into Head Start. And we appreciate Dr. Bruton. He is a calming force for us, and we appreciate his always standing with and on behalf of us. And we thank you for having included us in this family engagement initiative.
Thank you.
What an awesome presentation you all gave for us today. We do have one question in the chat. It says, please give us the name and location of your Head Start program, along with presenter's name and contact information.
Dr. Bruton represents a Head Start program, so he'll tell you about that. And then we can forward information to you. There are 25 grantees in South Carolina. And the Head Start Collaboration Office is located at the Department of Social Services by way of a federal award, federal to local. Our number here is 803-898-2550. And we're at the State Department of Social Services. But there's a Head Start presence in every county, 25 grantees.
Hello?
All right, I put my email address in case you need to contact me in the chat
Okay,
box.
awesome.
And Ms. Diggs, can you give me that number again? 803
898
898.
2550.
Okay, and that number is in the chat as well for everyone.
That's what I
Thank
was getting
you.
ready to do. Are there any other questions at this time? We would like to thank all of you for attending this session. Ms. Diggs and Dr. Bruton did a wonderful job of presenting information pertaining to starting with the family first, which is the basic of Head Start. On the South Carolina Department of Education website once the summit concludes and they are able to upload all videos. At this time, I would like to thank everyone again for attending, and you all have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.